guys, I'm Angela Braniff. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about our kids' chore routine and how we handle allowance. Just to give you a little bit of an explanation, we are a large family. We're a family of 10. We have 8 children. So as you might guess, our house gets very messy very quickly. If you've been following along, I've been doing a whole decluttering series, which I'm not done with yet. I've had some questions. I'm not done with that yet. We're still plugging along with that. But throughout the years, we've really kind of developed a system and a routine. We've fine-tuned it, we've changed it, we've tweaked it, which I think you should do for anything really in your house. But doing that with this sort of chore and allowance, and I'm using that term very loosely. I'll explain why, because we actually don't give our kids an allowance. Okay, so today I'm going to walk you guys through kind of what are the expectations of our kids. I'm going to show you guys what their routines look like on the daily basis, as well as our once a week deep clean. And then we're going to talk about allowance or lack thereof, like how our kids earn money, as it were, in our home. As I always say, we do what works for our family and you should do what works for your family. Just because something works for us doesn't mean it will work for you, and vice versa. So I love to share these things because I think it gives people ideas. I get ideas from other people, but by no means am I saying we do this and you should do it too, or this is how we do it and it's the only right way. It's just the way that works for us. Okay, so what I'm going to be showing you guys today is my older 2 daughters. They have taken over the job of doing our once a week deep clean. So let me explain what that means and why they've taken it over. So if you've seen any of my videos, even as of very recently, I talked about how we had a cleaning person that would come once a week and do like a deep clean for us. And it was usually on Fridays, and we would take the opportunity on Fridays to have what we called Fun Friday. And we would take the kids and go do a field trip or something like that, go do something fun. Sometimes we would just run errands or whatever, but we would leave while she was here to clean. And it kind of became, honestly, more of a pain than it was worth. We have had this struggle back and forth with like having a cleaning person forever, because we live in our homes, we work in our home. My husband and I are both working from here, from our home, and so we're here all day. That we homeschool, so our kids are here. So it was just kind of difficult for us to be able to get out of the way of a cleaning person or a cleaning team. So inevitably over the years, we've had a cleaning person, and then we've, stopped doing it for a while, and back and forth. So we had this one lady who we loved. She was very affordable and she was very sweet. But we just found that honestly it was costing us a lot more money, because what was happening, and this is probably partly because it was winter, but what was happening was we all needed to get out of the house while she came to clean, and then we would end up leaving and spending money eating out, getting coffee. And sometimes, obviously, like field trips, we're going to spend money, which is fine. But I just found that we were spending more, and at times when we normally wouldn't, just because we felt like we needed to get out of the house. And if the week had been exceptionally hard and we were backed up with school stuff or work stuff, then it became an inconvenience. So coupling all of that with the fact that if you have a big family, you probably know what I'm talking about. Heck, if you even have 1 or 2 kids, you probably know what I'm talking about. And that's that about an hour after the cleaning person leaves, you wonder if they ever came. Because kids have a tendency to just make a lot of messes. And so, by Saturday morning, we were like, it doesn't even look like a cleaning person came. I don't want to say that it felt like a waste of money, but kind of. So what ended up happening was our 2 older daughters, who are 13 and 11, came to us and said, listen, if you're gonna not have the cleaning lady come anymore, how about you hire us? And we were like, well, I don't know about that. But they said, give us a dry run, let us do it and see if we do a good enough job. And if we do, then you can pay us. But that has been working out really well for us. So typically we homeschool 4 days a week, and then on Fridays is the cleaning day. This week it just happens to be on Saturday. And see, that's the good thing, is that we needed to move things around because we had other things we were doing on Friday. And it was easy to do that. We could just say, nope, we're gonna do the deep clean on Saturday instead. I'll share with you guys the kids' chore routine as well throughout the week, so you can kind of understand. And then I think maybe I'll do another video where I'll just share with you guys like our whole family's daily cleaning routine, because that will help give you some insight into what my husband and I are doing every day. Because really, in truth, with 10 people, like, we are all contributing to cleaning, laundry, that kind of thing, every single day. And I feel like since the beginning of the year, since I started this decluttering journey and everything, like, it's helped us all so much to get on board with everything. And like, everyone is pretty much contributing every single day. And it doesn't feel as overwhelming as I thought it would. I thought that having to do that stuff every day would that's for another video. We'll talk about the whole daily thing. So since that's what the girls are doing right now, so what I do is I make a cleaning list for them each week. It usually stays the same, but it just depends if anything needs extra attention. Maybe there's something that needs to be taken care of that isn't typical, or something that doesn't, because my husband and I have taken care of it before the cleaning day came. So I make them a list each week. And just kind of go over, and that will change too with the seasons, as there's other things to do outside in the backyard, that kind of thing. So what the girls, the two older girls, like I said, 13 and 11, and they get paid for this because it's above and beyond their typical chores. So they make sure that all 3 bathrooms are clean: toilets, showers, floors, and sinks. And then they do the floors downstairs. They sweep and mop the hardwood floors, and then they vacuum the rugs. They also check to see if anything needs to be rotated with the laundry. I pretty much, with the help of my husband, sometimes I've just gotten to the point where laundry has become like another child to me, like staying on top of the laundry, keeping everything organized and folded, and all of that has become I've become a little bit obsessive about it, probably not in a healthy way. So I'm pretty much the one who does most of the laundry. And I kind of have gotten to a place where I enjoy it. I know it sounds crazy, but once I went through the decluttering and I got everyone's closets organized and everything has a place and it's easy to put away and it's not messy, it's almost like therapeutic for me. I listen to an audio book, I listen to some music, or watch some YouTube videos and fold and put away laundry, and I'm happy. It's a mindless task for me. And most days I do a lot of things that require me to be mentally engaged between work and kids and homeschool, that sometimes mindless tasks are kind of fun. So they will make sure that any laundry that needs to be rotated through gets rotated through. They will also, if there are clean clothes to put away, because I fold the clothes, but then I usually have the kids put away their own clothes. Although a lot of times I go behind them and fix it if I felt like they didn't put it away as nicely as I would like it to be put away, whatever. So they'll put away clothes. And then in the kitchen, they make sure the dishes are, through the rotation of going through the dishwasher and put away and everything. They clean the counters and the backsplashes, and then they clean the appliances, like the faces of the appliances. So like deep cleaning the inside of appliances and things like that, that's going to be my husband and I task. But they just kind of do a lot of that surface level cleaning, and then they also do the windows downstairs. So we have quite a few windows in our kitchen area and in the living room area that the dogs like to press their noses against, and kids like to lick their fingers and run them down the window. I don't know why that's such a tempting thing when you're a kid. I remember doing it in the car, where you lick your finger and then draw, and then my dad would yell at me and I was like, ah. I think we all did that kind of stuff as kids. But anyway, so windows are, ugh. So they do the inside and outside of the downstairs lower windows. So that's what they do on Fridays, and that's what earns them additional money. Now, as far as the daily chore routine, because as I said, we have 8 kids. Now, obviously, our younger 3 are only 2.5, and Benji is almost 6 months old. And so they don't have any chores. Though I will tell you that we have realized, and we weren't good about this with our older kids, but we've realized as we've had more kids that it helps if you as a parent don't mentally make chores and cleaning the worst thing ever. We really have just been let's clean up, and our toddlers enjoy cleaning up and picking up toys. They enjoy wiping, and a lot of toddlers do, but I feel like as they've gotten older, they want to help, they want to contribute, because it makes them feel like they're contributing to something and being part of a team and part of our family. So I don't know, I've just found that the more positive we are about it, instead of making it seem go do your chores, this mean. I hope that I'm explaining that right. I just think that if we as parents are enthusiastic about let's get this cleaned up, let's get this picked up, let's work together. Here, I'll help you. Do you need help with that? I'd love to help you clean that up. Could you come help me clean this up? It sounds kind of cheesy, and I'm not I'm okay with being cheesy with little kids. The older they get, I'm not very that's not my personality. I'm not cheesy. But I will then begin to explain to our children, don't you prefer our atmosphere when it's like this? Don't you like how it feels really clean and you can smell the diffuser going or the candle burning and the house just feels clean and calm? Don't you like that? And helping them to recognize that they too enjoy a clean environment and a tidied environment, it typically helps a lot, because I do have a couple children who struggle like I do with ADD, ADHD, and so having a clean environment helps to calm our like fluttery minds. And so I just try to help my children to see how valuable being in a clean space is emotionally, and hoping that through that they'll see that it's beneficial to them too. Anyways, that's always kind of how we've operated, is we're not like, this isn't a house that you're gonna come over here and lick the floor or like wipe something and never find any dust. Like obviously if you've watched my decluttering series, you're gonna find some dust, okay? But we've always kept things, especially in our downstairs area, tidy. Like we always keep things tidy. I don't like things to be a mess. The only room in our house that was ever in the past, like really just like a disaster, was my bedroom. And like I said, that became a catch-all, and it really affected me mentally. So taking care of that has been such a good thing. Anyways, so on the daily, the kids' chores on the daily that we kind of rotate between, and I don't have like some chore chart to show you where everyone checks things off. We just have these things that we explain. These are the things that need to be done, and we all kind of rotate through them. And we do a little bit more of just looking at like who's available to do it, who's here right now in the moment to do it, especially when it comes to things like feeding the dogs. All the kids contribute to feeding the dogs. So our dogs, there's no reason to like have a checkbox or have a parent remind you. The dogs remind you to feed them. That's it. They will come to you and like stand there and stare at you and start whining until you feed them. So one of them sleeping behind me over here in the sun. But so we don't need like a checkbox and stuff for that. Like the kids just know the dog will go find somebody like you. Come feed me. So feeding the dogs, we do rotate the cat box. We do rotate the cat box between us adults and the older girls, because cat box is kind of, cat feces and urine is just, it's disgusting. And it can actually like have health impacts. So we're very careful about who does the cat box. It needs to be somebody who understands that and will thoroughly wash their hands and all that kind of stuff. So cat box, and then contributing to dishes, unloading and reloading the dishwasher. The big five are kind of able to rotate through and help do the dishes as far as loading and unloading. And then the younger three, their sort of main responsibility is keeping the playroom picked up and cleaned up. I've labeled the bins and everything for them so they know where things go. They've also learned very quickly about how I organized the twins and Benji's toys in the living room, so they know to help with that as well. They know how to help with that and put everything away. And since everything kind of has a place, it's become a lot easier for them. I can just say, go clean up, y'all go pick up the playroom, and they'll hop in here and they know how to put everything away. And that's pretty easy. Usually when we send the kids upstairs to get dressed in the morning is when we have them make their beds. Nobody's an expert at making their bed. They usually just kind of pull their blankets up and tuck everything in. And I'm just not somebody that's like super picky about that kind of stuff. If I feel like I really want the bed to look perfect that day or something, I'll go in and touch it up. I make my bed every single day. So I want the kids to get in that habit too, but it doesn't have to be perfect, I guess. And that's sort of my biggest thing with kids and chores, is it's totally a trade-off. Done is better than perfect. And so you as a parent, or myself as a parent, has to accept that kids are not going to, especially a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, even 11 and 13-year-olds are not going to do everything the way that you would, or the way that you would want it to. So I have to like relinquish that and just say they did it, they did their best, and that's it. Now, like I said, there are some things like laundry that I end up doing a lot of because it matters to me that it be done how I want it to be done. And I have had people ask why we don't have our kids do their own laundry. And it's just simply that we have more children than there are days in the week and things like, I know people who have like their kids have a day of the week and that's their day to get all their laundry through. We have 8 children, we have toddlers and babies. And then my husband and I, like, it's just, for me, it just works better and easier for me to keep things sorted and do that part myself. And I truly don't mind. And I just keep everyone's clothes folded and they can come get them and put them away. I usually fold clothes on the twins' bed in the twins' room. It's just where I do it. And so they know that there's stacks of clothes in there to check for and put away as well each. So that's kind of what everyone's contributing to on the daily. And then, like I said, the girls have their sort of one day a week that they do deep cleaning stuff. Now, how we handle allowance and money and things like that. We do not give our kids an allowance. I think it's a lot in how you grew up and what your family dynamic is and stuff, but like, I didn't grow up receiving an allowance. It was just expected that you live here, you're part of the family, and you contribute to the household things. Like, I'm not going to pay you for cleaning up after yourself. I'm not going to pay you for taking care of your belongings, and that kind of thing. And it's not an indictment. If you do that, please understand, I think every family just has to do what works best for them. But for us, paying our kids for tasks and chores and things around the house just didn't feel like the right thing to do. But we wanted to give our kids an opportunity to earn money, to do something to earn money, and sort of have some responsibility in that regard, to learn to be responsible with money and things like that. So what we ended up doing, and we started this, oh my gosh, I can't even remember, has it been a year? Maybe, is this token system. So these are just like little pirate coins that I got at Hobby Lobby, but they're just little gold tokens. And I have this giant jar, and then each of the kids has a little mason jar like this that they put their tokens in that they earn. Now, in our house, the tokens are earned by exhibiting fruits of the Spirit. So when our kids exhibit acts of kindness, patience, self-control, gentleness, any of the fruits of the Spirit, and we see it happen, then we will give them a token. So to explain that a little bit better, it's not something that every time you do something nice, you get a token. It's mom and dad are always watching, and when we see you do something, we can see that it's exhibiting a fruit of the Spirit. We can see that you are being kind and compassionate and loving towards your siblings, or it's us, or whatever the situation may be, then we will give that child a token. And that sort of like gauge for that is obviously going to be a little bit different for each child. So the expectation for what we would expect to see from our older children looks a little different than what we would expect to see from our younger children, or from our daughter with Down syndrome. Like, we kind of, my husband and I, sort of use our discretion and our common sense to help guide us in what the expectations are for the child. For example, like if we see our son, something happens and he's getting into an argument with his brother, and can see that he's frustrated, but we can see that he exhibits self-control and he chooses not to lash out and hit him, or whatever sort of our natural instinct would be to get upset about, and we can see that he's exhibited some good self-control, then we'll give him a token for that. So we try to reward our kids for both good behavior and lack of bad behavior. Does that make sense? Or lack of inappropriate behavior, right? I think it's just kind of one of those things, like a lot of kids are just fighting a lot of they're just kind of constantly fighting a lot of human nature, right? To feel a certain way, but they don't always have the social context around that, depending on their age, to know that despite the fact that my body tells me that I need to pop this person in the nose for that, I realize that that's not the nice thing to do, the right thing to do, that kind of thing. So as they're sort of working all that stuff out, we're watching and paying attention so that we can give them tokens when we see them making good decisions. And for us, that is encouraging our kids to always be thinking about ways that they can be kind, be generous, be loving, be patient. And I just like encouraging them to kind of stay in that headspace of thinking, how can they serve others? How can they exhibit good character and morals and things like that? And we're sort of rewarding them for that. So the tokens do not have an exact monetary value. In the beginning, we were like, okay, well, maybe the tokens will be worth $1 each or whatever. But that became hard because, again, the kids in the house earn tokens differently depending on who that child is and what their personal struggles are, what they're capable of, what they're not, that sort of thing. And so it became a little bit that was too blanket of a way to divvy out money. It just didn't quite work for us. It's hard to explain, but it just didn't quite work. So what we've done is sort of break it off into sections. So if you have at the end of the month, they all bring us their jars and we add up their tokens. And at the end of the month, if you have less than 15 tokens, then you can earn something like an ice cream at Baskin-Robbins, or an ice cream at Dairy Queen, or something like that. If you have between 15 and 30 tokens, then you can earn a small toy. It has to be in the $10 to $15 range. And most of the time the kids want to look on Amazon, sometimes on Target, but they usually just have some dinosaur or toy or figurine or something like that they want. And then our older daughters, the same thing. Sometimes they want money because they're saving up for something, so they'll turn in their tokens just for straight money. And then other times they'll turn them in for, you know, a special date. And all the kids kind of have that option. Like I said, it's just sort of tiered, so they can turn it in for a date with mom or dad, like a movie date. If there's a movie coming out that they really want to see, as you can imagine, going to the movies with a family our size is very expensive, so we usually just wait till things come out. But if there's something that we wait till things come out, like on Amazon. But if there's something they really want to see in the theater, then they can use their token money and that sort of thing. So there really isn't a super black and white, cut and dry system, and that actually works better for us because, again, we just need to be able to kind of flex depending on the child and the circumstance. And then same thing when they actually turn in the token. So we don't do like a straight allowance, every kid earns $5 every week or anything like that. We just have your set expectations of contributing and being part of the family, and then ways that you can earn tokens that you can then turn in for money at the end of the month if you really just want money. But most of the time they just want some kind of treat or something like that. It's once they get older that they start to really care about turning those tokens in for actual monies. Okay, so hopefully that explains how we do our chore routine and how we do our token system in lieu of an allowance system. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below and I will do my best to answer them. But that is it for today's video. I hope y'all are having a fabulous day and I will see you again very soon. Bye.
You always find me here when the world thinks that I've disappeared. You know just where to look.